father was William J. Powell, and he's who originated the course. He designed it, he built it, and ran it for his whole life.
My dad was a very determined person, and anything that my dad did, he did well.
Mr. Powell and his family overcame tremendous odds at a time when the ball game was heavily weighted against people of color in this country.
I think Clearview is important because it's a reminder of what happened during that Jim Crow era, during the struggle for civil rights.
There are people who make a difference, and there are people who break barriers. And Mr. Powell is one of those individuals.
This man built this golf course because he wanted to play golf.
Golf is exclusionary, so it's not like he opened a grocery store. He did something really outside the box.
My father is from a little town down the road called Minerva, Ohio.
Minerva is a small community in eastern Ohio. It's a great place to raise a family. Hasn't changed much over the years.
I think my dad was the youngest boy in the family. There were 3 boys. My father was a caddy, and he learned to work on the golf course. And in learning to work on the golf course, he was able to play.
He was a great football player in high school. He was captain of the team. I think he was the only black person in the school, certainly the only black person on the team.
He played football, played basketball. He and his older brother started the very first high school golf team at Minerva. My dad served as the #1 player on the team. He served as the captain of the golf team, and he also served as the coach of the golf team, and he would schedule the matches. He and his brother were able to play, but after my dad got out of school, he was no longer welcome at those same golf courses that they had played the golf matches at.
Mr. Powell served in England in World War II. He was in charge of a truck unit that was instrumental in conveying troops to the embarkation ports in England for the D-Day invasion.
If you love the game of golf and you are sent to war, I guess the best place to go is to Scotland. On various days when they had downtime or a little bit of time off, the members would let him use their golf clubs and he'd go out and play.
World War II gave large numbers of black soldiers their first exposure to a wider world, and to a world in Britain where they weren't discriminated against to the extent that they were in the United States.
They're very warm, very welcoming to Bill Powell. He comes back over here, and it's almost like he's fighting another war.
We came out of the Second World War with, I think, new expectations of what America had to offer.
They came back as heroes. And so African Americans joined this parade of hope and optimism.
When he came back from World War II, he was very disappointed that the attitudes were the same as when he left. He was going to find a way to make a difference and to make a change.
In 1946, when you think of it in the context of racial relations in our country, it was a turbulent time, and there wasn't a lot of opportunity in sports for black players to participate.
The PGA of America is running the tour at that time. Bill applies, and the PGA has a Caucasian clause that prevents African Americans from becoming members.
He liked golf. He wanted to be a golf professional. There was exclusion on that. Difficulties in that. He got the idea, well, I'll build my own golf course.
It just boggles the mind to think that someone could have this vision, realize it, and be successful.
The risks he took were enormous.
What my dad did when he first decided to build a golf course, he had to find land. He said he and my mom would go back and forth between Canton and Minerva, and he saw this bit of land here. It was a rundown dairy farm. He told my mom that would be a perfect place to build a golf course.
He faced a lot of discrimination, some subtle, some not so subtle. He needed financing to help build this course. He was denied a GI loan, which was supposedly the right of all returning veterans, and he was denied it because he was a person of color.
The first 9 holes he built basically by hand, literally walking back and forth with just a hand seater around his neck and turning that, seeding the entire golf course, each fairway.
But the course wasn't just laid out at one time. Couldn't afford to do it that way. We're doing piece by piece.
The fact that he worked at the Timken Company from 3 to 11 p.m., a full-time job, and then got up at the crack of dawn, 5:36 in the morning, and worked on the course.
It was unbelievable. Day after day after day, always in that tractor, never quit working.
Bill just believed that there was no black or white, that everybody should be the same, and his golf course was going to be open to everyone.
Bill Powell built an integrated golf course because he despised segregation and did not want to reinforce it or replicate what he saw as a tremendous evil. Did Bill Powell see himself as a civil rights hero?
Mr. Powell was a pioneer in the civil rights movement. He was quietly determined that he was not going to tolerate or suffer the indignities of discrimination.
It took a lot of courage in that time period to do what he did.
He demonstrated that there were ways to effectively make change without violence.
He had a vision of being inclusive in a sport that he loved.
Clearview is a classic example of how blacks could demonstrate their competence to build, to operate, to own, to lead. This should be a living monument to Mr. Powell's legacy and stands as proof of what blacks are capable of doing.
Clearview is bigger than just golf. It's really a cultural touch point. You know, it's something that not just African Americans, but everyone can look at and say, this is an important institution because of what it stands for.
I was very much aware of what my father and mother had done and how difficult it was for them to do it at those times.
The effort is not over, but these men of that period made an incredible contribution to the effort to treat people fairly.
You know, if that's not being a leader, then I'm not sure what is.
Whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are in life, if you've got the kind of persistence that he had, you can accomplish a lot, and he certainly did.